Welcome to What's Up at Work, the podcast that's all about real talk with the company leaders shaping Northeast Ohio's top workplaces. We're diving into the stories, strategies, and sometimes hilarious moments that come with creating the thriving teams that drive the region's most successful businesses forward. Whether it's a CEO sharing their leadership philosophy or an HR exec spilling their best people-first strategies, we're here to give you insights you can actually use to build a better workplace. Hit play and let's talk about what's really up at work. Welcome back to What's Up at Work, everyone. I'm Sam Clyde Schroeder, Vice President of Sales and Marketing at ERC. And today we're talking about what it takes to create a great work experience for everyone at an organization. From the drivers and warehouse associates to finance, HR, and corporate support teams. My guest today is Cindy Torres Essell, Chief People Officer at Heinen's grocery stores. Cindy's path to leadership took her from a music major to law school to HR, and along the way, she's built a playbook for connecting corporate offices and frontline teams under one associates first culture. Let's get into it. Cindy, welcome to the show.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
It's so great to have you here. So before we get into everything we're going to talk about today, I do want to rewind a little bit because you have a really interesting story. You've been a cellist, a psychology major, a lawyer, and now you're in HR. And that might be the most interesting resume I've ever heard.
Yeah.
Looking back, how do all of those different experiences kind of add up to HR?
So, I think the path forward for me was really the cello. I went to a school system that had a huge music program, and that's where I learned even what a cello was. And came home and said, I'm going to play the cello next year in 5th grade. And my mom was like, what does it cost? How much is it? What are we doing? And so I think that's really where I gained some confidence and figured out that, no, I could really go to college and I could do something different than maybe what had been before me. And so it really was the path forward. I went to college. I did enter as a music major. And I think quickly in that first year discovered, maybe this isn't the only thing that I want to be in my professional life. And I had taken a few psychology classes. I went to a liberal arts college and, took a few of the liberal arts curriculum and loved the psychology classes. And so I decided to change my major and went down that path. That's really been the common theme that ties all of that together. I think the cello empowered me, and then I've been able to give that back, empowering others.
Right. Was the cello bigger than you when you were in 5th grade?
No, there's different sizes.
Oh, okay.
I think I started at a half size, if I remember correctly. But yeah.
Okay, let's focus on your law career for a minute, because that's something we didn't cover. So you get out of school, you're working at a law firm, and then you pretty quickly realize that you care more about employee experience than the legal process.
Right.
How did you come to that conclusion? Was there a specific case or moment?
So I took 4 years off between undergrad and law school and worked.
Okay.
I worked in higher academia, and I also did some sales work, really trying to figure out what did I want to do.
All over the map.
All over the map. And I, at that point, did have a mentor in my life, and they had made the comment to me, you could always practice HR or training, whatever, with a law degree, but you really can't practice law with an HR degree. And if you're going to invest in continued education, because I was self-funding, you ought to think about the versatility of the degree. And it was like, you know what? That makes a lot of sense to me.
Yeah.
So that's really why I embarked on law school.
That makes total sense. So if we fast forward now to through the HR, you've jumped over to HR, and then here comes the Heinen's offer. So it's in an industry that you didn't know. It's in a union environment that was new to you. So it wasn't an easy yes when you were originally offered your job, right? What convinced you to take the leap?
I will tell you it was a very easy yes when they made me the offer.
Okay.
What wasn't easy was trying to decide whether to apply. So a colleague of mine in HR said, Heinen's is looking for a new head of HR. I really think you'd like it there. You should check it out. And I said, I don't know anything about retail grocery.
Right.
Not really excited about working with, potentially unions again. And she said, no, I really think you need to meet them. And so that was really the decision point, was do I really put my hat in the ring for this? Because I don't do anything partially. So if I'm really applying, then I'm expressing an interest, right?
Yeah.
By the time they finally made me the offer, which I tease them all the time, it took very long, 7, 8, 9 months.
Oh my gosh.
But every time I kept coming back, it just really kept solidifying for me, oh no, I want to be a part of this.
Yeah.
And so when they made me the offer, I was in.
You were in.
I was all in, yeah. I think I might have said I had to think about it, but I know I called her the next day and accepted her.
And so you've been at Heinen's now upwards of 10 years, correct?
Yes.
Looking back, what do you think you would have been missing out on if you had not thrown your hat in the ring?
I truly think I would have missed the best opportunity and experience of my entire career. Heinen's is a very different place, and it has taught me how to do what I do, but do it best.
Yeah.
And they have really empowered me like no other organization, and I have learned so much there. And so truly, I would have missed out on my own growth and development as a leader and an HR professional.
Yeah.
But I also would have missed out on some of the best people I've ever worked with. And I've really been blessed to work with great people everywhere I've been. But Heinen's is different in that respect.
That's so incredible that you've had that experience there. If we go back to when you started, so you started at Heinen's and they'd never really had a true strategic HR leader. How did you decide what to build first?
I know. I'm a big believer in you don't come in the door and start making changes right away. You have to understand the business. And I certainly had to learn that business. I'm still learning that business every day. But I'm also a big believer in you have to meet people where they are. So I really wanted to learn the business, or start to learn it, understand the business, and learn what were the hot buttons for people, what was going really well, from an HR perspective, what wasn't. And so I spent a good amount of time doing that. And I will tell you the time where I knew for sure that Heinen's was going to be different was my first day. I, was doing all the orientation things. And Tom Heinen stopped by to talk for a few minutes, welcome me. And he said, hey, listen, I don't want you to have to worry about impressing us. You already impressed us. We hired you. So what you need to do is focus on getting to know Heinen's and figure out how to best serve our people. Don't feel that you have to produce change the next week. I want you to really understand who Heinen's is and figure out how you can best serve our people. And I thought, okay, this is exactly what I was hoping it was.
Yes.
So anyway, I did that. I spent time doing that. And what I realized was I needed to work on a team of HR people that could support, because I knew that it couldn't just be me. I needed to build a team of people who had the expertise and who had the right mindset of service.
Right. How do you avoid being a bull in a china shop when you're coming in and you have all of these ideas, even to go about building a team? It's you don't want to upset the apple cart, right? Gracefully.
Yeah. There's a great book out there that I love. It's called The First 90 Days, and I highly recommend that to anyone. It's an old book. It's been around a long time, but it talks about how to enter an organization in a more senior role. Also, if you're in the same organization but newly promoted, how to maybe approach that. But I followed a lot of what was in that book. I sat back and listened, go back and ask more questions to clarify. And I spent a lot of time out in our stores, right? I wanted to learn what their days were like. I talked to managers, of course, but I also talked to associates. I spent days at our warehouse. I still do all of these things. The only thing I've never done is ride along with a truck driver, which I probably should do. But I've been to our food production plant, and that was really the key, is spending time and listening and asking questions. Nothing's broken, but where do we want to start in making things better or improving things or maybe doing things more efficiently?
That makes a ton of sense. And you just named so many different roles in your organization. The way that Heinen's is structured, you lead a lot of people who may never even meet in person. How do you make them all feel like part of the same team?
We do a lot of different things. And one example is we work with a partner called Exonify. It's a macro learning platform. We have tablets in all of our locations where associates come up, and 3 to 5 minutes a day they do learning.
Oh, okay.
So it might be specialized towards your area. It might, like, for example, if you work in the produce department, it might be about a seasonal fruit and a subject learning, right? About, oh, we're selling, I don't know, citrus season, for example.
Yeah.
But it's also can be safety, related content. So this has really become a big communication tool. So I think part of that is they're getting all of those communications. Heinen's is also not a very hierarchical place.
Yeah.
So all the managers work very closely together. And for example, one of the things I'm working on right now is a leadership circles, kind of coaching circles program with our store general managers. And we all meet together, Chicago and Cleveland, sometimes virtual, sometimes in person, to do those sorts of things and talk so that and that trickles down. When you're doing that with leaders, it also will trickle down to how they lead their associates because they're more informed.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And speaking of your stores and, the associates who work in the stores, Heinen's does this really cool thing every Thanksgiving where the corporate staff, including you, actually go out and work in the stores.
Yeah.
What's a moment from one of those shifts that really changed the way that you think about your job?
I love talking to the customers.
Yeah.
And one of the things that I always take away is how many of our customers know our associates by name and something about them, and vice versa. There's really these relationships out there. And I love that for both sides.
Yeah.
The other thing I take away is that I'm exhausted when I leave those days.
Yeah.
My body hurts. And, I realize, wow, we have these associates out there. They're working with customers all day. And not every one of those days is easy, right? And they're tired.
Yeah.
And it's a different kind of tired, right,
Totally.
than what I do sitting at a desk all day.
Totally.
So I definitely always leave with a much greater appreciation. Not that I don't appreciate them, but it just every year it cements it for me.
And you feel it.
I do.
Really, you feel it.
I'm in awe sometimes of what our store teams accomplish.
100%. And let's follow that thread a little bit. Store associates, delivery drivers, warehouse associates, that can be tricky when you're not on a 9-to-5 schedule and when the work is really physically exhausting, that different kind of tired.
Right.
What are some of the biggest challenges that you face when you're dealing with shift-based and frontline employees? And what are they facing right now in terms of their difficulties?
One of the things that we've worked really hard on is to improve flexibility, right? The vast majority of our associates have families or are part of a family.
Right.
And, there's flexibility. And if you're working, 10 a.m. to 7 p.m. and you may not have the flexibility that you need to get a child off the bus, for example, or things like that. And so we've really worked on that to improve that. We do a lot of 4-10 schedules these days, which a lot of our associates really appreciate and like. We will absolutely work with, it's coming back up now because entering back into school.
Right.
But a lot of our associates will ask for some, special schedules during the school year, things like that. And our managers really do their best to accommodate those because we do want to retain our people. And we do want people to love working at Heinen's. And part of that is understanding that you have life outside of work. And I think about that with our associates. What can we be doing to have there be fewer challenges at work? Right. So that when they leave, they're more equipped to deal with whatever they're dealing with when they leave our space.
You're talking about a lot of really creative things that I think not a lot of other companies who are trying to fill positions like yours are doing. Let's talk about talent attraction for a second. When you've made those changes, how have you seen that impact the amount of talent you're able to attract?
That's a great question. Talent attraction has been different. People are looking to work differently, right? And the vast majority of our jobs, you have to be on site in person to do them.
Right.
We have certainly looked at wages, and one of the things that we have always been focused on is a livable wage. We want people to be able to have careers at Heinen's and sustain their families. We want people to be able to have, like I said, Heinen's careers and livable wages and benefits, the right benefits, good benefits that take care of them and their spouses and their children. And so that's really where we try to focus. And I do think we've gotten a little more open to understanding that some associates may only be with us for a season. And I don't mean like a holiday season. I mean just in general, a season in their life.
Yeah.
Right. And so we've become more open to that. And we have a lot of associates that go back and forth, to school in particular, but do other things, come back. And we've learned to really appreciate those associates as well, because when they come back, we're thrilled to have them back.
Yes. So I guess
Yes.
my next question is, how do you help your associates who are in these roles avoid burnout and stay engaged?
So one of the things that we are very consistent about is a 40-hour work week for our store associates. Do people get overtime? Of course, there's overtime that happens, right? For whatever reason, someone calls off or something happens. But we really want people to have 2 days off a week. Our managers have 2 days off a week. Highly unusual in the retail world.
Totally.
And we're very committed to that. So that's part of it. And that goes across all of our locations, not just stores. That's obviously where majority of our people are. But so that's one thing for sure that we feel very strongly about is, I'm not going to call it balance, but that you have 2 days off to rejuvenate. We are also very focused on everyone needs to take their vacation. We want you to rejuvenate. Another thing I would mention that I think we do better at Heinen's than many places is we really hone in on our managers and empowering them as leaders. We're very focused that they be inspirational leaders. But part of that is serving the people that work with you and for you. And so I think that's part of managing it for associates is making sure that they're leaders, because they don't see me every day, right?
Right.
They see their manager every day, and making sure that they are equipped to help them and support them. The last thing I'll mention on this topic, I'm very passionate about this topic.
No, this is perfect.
But the last thing I'll mention is we put all of our associates through leadership development training. This is something Heinen's has been doing for a really long time. It's one of the things that drew me there. But all associates, from someone bagging your groceries on the front end to the director of finance or director of marketing, go through a self-leadership program. It's a 4-week program, and it's about how to be a self-leader. Yes, at work, but also personally. And the number of associates that come back and say, this class, series of classes changed my life is astounding to me.
Wow.
It really is.
That's fantastic. All of these strategies that you're talking about are incredibly creative, and HR is just so intentional, it sounds like, at Heinen's. And another kind of intentional thing that you've set up is that a lot of companies have core values, and those are the things that guide them. They're either words or phrases that are principles that they run their business around. Heinen's is different in that you guys have guidelines instead. Can you walk us through what that means, and then also what those are and why they matter so deeply?
Sure. So we do have 2 simple values, respect and honesty. And that is something that applies across all of our business units. But the guidelines are really what drive us, and they're sort of, intended to impact how we live every day. And it truly starts with associates who love working at Heinen's. If we truly make sure that associates are happy. After love working at Heinen's, we get into high quality, relevant food solutions, of course, customer service, right? But at the end, is where we find profit. It's the last thing on the list, because that we feel comes from everything else. And that is not what's driving every decision that we make.
That's so interesting. And it starts with the people, that's been the message of everything that you're saying. So Heinen's also promotes pretty much exclusively from within, with you as a notable exception.
Right. There are exceptions for sure.
Right. What's the most unexpected from the ground up success story you've seen?
There are so many people at Heinen's who have worked there their entire careers. They have started at 15 or 16 working in a store. They maybe went to college and worked through college, or went to college and came back. Some of them may have stepped away for another job but quickly came back, and they've just grown up through the ranks, whether that's into store operations leadership, whether that is product leadership. I certainly have those people on my team as well. I think that what I would say is surprising or unusual to me about that is that when you talk to them, they all say, I didn't intend for this to be my career. And, maybe I got a degree in whatever, accounting. And I went and worked in accounting for 2 years. And I realized that no one cares about their associates like Heinen's does, and I came back. There's so many of those stories that maybe this wasn't my original career intent, but I couldn't leave this place because they care about me and I care about it and them. And that was surprising to me. Everyone has a home. There's, if one role isn't the best fit for you, there's other opportunities.
Right.
And people, I think, gravitate to that. So.
Absolutely. And it sounds like there's a lot of buy-in.
Absolutely.
What are some of the things that you guys are doing to recognize those standout employees that you think other companies might overlook?
We have a rewards program where managers can reward with points to their teams or across the organization or above for work well done, or we have different categories, right? And I don't think that those types of programs are all that uncommon.
Yeah.
But what I will say is we do a lot of individual recognition, right? And I think that comes in a few ways. Oh, you did this great thing, right? We got these great customer comments about you, or a customer stopped and, just raved about the interaction. Here's a Heinen's gift card. Lunch is on us today, right? There's a lot of those things that happen much more consistently than maybe I've experienced in my past. And that's great. It's the thank you. And like I said, maybe it's a gift card for lunch. The other thing I will say is that, associates have things that happen, right?
Yeah.
Whether it's something traumatic in their personal life or a situation that we're dealing with. And in my opinion, it is also a form of recognition to help them through that. And so that's another form of recognition I like to mention. But
I think that's huge.
it gets very personal at Heinen's a lot. It's yes, there's a Heinen's family of owners. The fourth generation is in the business now, Tom and Jeff's children, and they're wonderful. But there's also the Heinen's family outside of that.
Right.
And so I think there's a lot of recognition that goes into that.
And just making everyone feel included. That's great. Let's talk about feedback for a minute, because that's something that you've said is a big goal of yours right now at Heinen's, giving honest feedback. What's the catalyst for making that kind of a company-wide initiative?
Our associates told us they wanted more feedback.
Love it.
So we do an associate engagement survey regularly. And my team and I also will have conversations. And it was consistent. We need more feedback. We want it more frequently, and we want to know how we're doing. And it was probably time to look at how we were assessing performance. I think every HR person struggles with performance management, what makes sense.
Right.
And, thankfully, I'm really blessed to work with a leadership team that wants to hear what associates have to say and wants to react to it. Our associates really going to get the feedback that they want and deserve, and we'll be wrapping our first cycle, I'd say. But that was the catalyst. Our associates asked for it, and we said, okay, we have to figure out how to deliver this to them.
That's so interesting that they are asking for it. And, coming from your side, you said something interesting, which is that every HR person struggles with performance management. And it's, because there are many ways to do it, and there's always pros and cons to all of them. Regardless of how long you've been working, not just in HR, but as a leader in general, there are still some instances where feedback is tricky. Right?
Absolutely. Sure.
Right? What's one moment where giving feedback was harder than you expected? How did you navigate it?
When you work with people for a long time on your team, even outside your team, your business partners, whomever, you get close to them, right?
Yes.
You learn things about them, their personal lives, what makes them tick, particularly when it's someone that you are maybe trying to improve, right, or work on improvements.
Right.
But I've had to give feedback to someone who was really struggling in the work. And to me, it's always hard when they're a phenomenal culture fit, but the work is not a fit.
Right.
And this is someone I had worked with for a long time. And I had to really give the feedback of, I don't see this getting any better. And we're trying all these things, but I don't see it. And are you sure this is the right spot for you? At Heinen's, not necessarily outside of Heinen's,
Right,
but
of
is
course.
this the right spot? Can we find another spot that's better?
Right.
And they were not open to that. So that was hard because I knew them very personally, and that was tough. But I also feel strongly I have a role that I am responsible to achieve. And I'm not doing anyone a favor if I'm not giving the right feedback.
Right.
I'm not doing anyone a favor to leave them in a role where they're not succeeding. And I'm really a big believer in helping people figure out what it is that they want to do and where they want to be.
Right.
And so I just kept at it. And I definitely had several difficult, uncomfortable conversations. But I also think a big piece of that was I had years of building a relationship, and they knew that I was coming from a genuine place.
Right.
And that I was coming from a place of care.
Right.
And so after a few of those conversations, we had I had a more open and interested person in discussing with me. And so we got where we needed to go there.
And that's fantastic that it worked out like that. And when people are receptive to feedback, it's amazing.
Doesn't always work out like that.
That's where I'm headed. I mean, have you ever had feedback backfire?
Oh, sure. I've also given people coaching on how to deliver feedback, and then that feedback has backfired for sure. I think that where I've seen feedback backfire the most is when there's no relationship first. When a manager comes to me and says, I need to give feedback, I'll ask questions like, okay, how does this person, what's their demeanor on a regular day? Or like things like that. And I can tell when they have trouble answering some of those questions. And that's when I see it backfire because the relationship isn't there. And so there's no trust, there's no understanding. And I think that, you never know when you're going to have to give someone feedback.
Right.
And I think the best thing that people can be is direct and honest. And it's okay to say things like, I know this is hard to hear. I know this is uncomfortable.
Yeah.
I wish we weren't having this conversation today, but we do need to have it.
Right.
And I think sometimes that makes you just seem a little more human. I think times where people give feedback and don't appear human, it can be hard to receive.
100%. And when you have a manager who comes to you and says, I need to give feedback, and you ask those questions and they don't have great answers, indicating that they don't know the person on a personal enough level, do you give them any advice on how to rectify that? Like, what does that look like?
I do. I will sometimes ask them, do you think you're the right person to be giving the feedback?
Ooh, interesting.
I think people feel that the highest level manager involved needs to be the one to give the feedback.
Right.
But they may not be the day-to-day person, right? And so I will ask that question, are you the right person? Or are you the right person to do this alone? Should you have someone else with you who might have the relationship? And so I do ask those questions. I think most people it resonates with when you say, I really want you to do well. And so to do that, here's some things we need to work on.
I love that. And Heinen's just is so woven into the fabric of Northeast Ohio. And you're doing so many wonderful things. It's not just a grocery store, but you're woven in as a major employer and community leader, and you have an economic impact in this area. So another organization that is also shaping the region is Jumpstart, where you were recently named board chair. Congratulations.
Yes, thank you.
Yes. For those who don't know, can you give the quick version of what is Jumpstart and why does it matter to you personally?
Sure. So Jumpstart is a nonprofit that focuses on supporting entrepreneurs in different spaces. Tech, for example, is one of them. And it's about providing them with paths to capital, with one-on-one coaching and development, and with business support and with the goal of them becoming bigger business, right? But the whole point of Jumpstart is really to give back to the community by building entrepreneurs. And they have a phenomenal track record of doing that over time.
What's one thing that you've learned from the entrepreneurs and innovators that you've met through Jumpstart that you've brought back and you've implemented or taken to Heinen's in some way?
Couple things I've learned from entrepreneurs. One, I just admire their grit. Right? They're not deterred by they're not deterred by hurdles. And I think I admire that in so many ways. I think I have that to a point. I probably don't have it to the extent I've seen it with so many successful entrepreneurs or serial entrepreneurs. I think the other thing that I've learned from them and taken back is maybe I can lower my risk tolerance a little bit.
Take the risk, make the leap.
You should get more comfortable with that. Right?
Yeah, 100%.
Right.
So both Heinen's and Jumpstart are deeply tied to Northeast Ohio, as we've said. How does that shared community focus and influence, how does it change the way that you make decisions as a leader?
So I think that one of the reasons why Heinen's has been such a good fit for me and Jumpstart has been a good fit for me is that it has always been for me about advocating and empowering. And in my roles in HR, I feel strongly about advocating our associates, our managers, supporting, empowering, and that's what I feel like we're doing at Jumpstart as well.
And speaking of lifting others up, I mean, there are a lot of other leaders out there in this region. For those who want to make a bigger community impact, like the organizations that you've spent time working with, what's one action that they can take that builds real credibility, that doesn't feel disingenuous or like PR?
I think time is currency. You need to give time. If
That's
that's something
great.
you want to do, you need to be able
Yeah.
to give time. And that is the one thing. Find what strikes a nerve in you or is a
Yeah.
passion and dedicate time. You don't have to sit on the board to dedicate time.
Right. That's great advice. All right, Cindy, we've reached the part of the show now called HR Hot Seat. So I'm going to hit you with rapid fire questions. You answer in 3 to 5 sentences-ish, more or less, doesn't
love this.
matter. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
All right, here we go. All right, when's the last time you picked up your cello and what did you play?
I don't play as much as I would like for
Okay,
sure. It's
okay.
been more time than it should have been. But I always will start with the Bach suites for cello. Those are my favorite. The first one is very popular. People would know it for sure. And they're just really great exercises, and they feel a little bit like coming home to me.
Do you still remember, or do you need to like read the sheet music?
No, I
or-
usually have the music in front of
Okay,
me, but there
okay.
are some that I don't need the music as much for.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay.
It's a little bit like riding a bike.
Yeah. All right, what's the strangest or most surprising thing you've learned working in a grocery store?
I would say how complex the business is. It's way more complex than I ever expected.
'Cause it all looks so simple.
It does,
when
right?
you're walking through the
You put
aisles.
Cheerios
Like,
on a
it's-
shelf, right?
Absolutely.
It's not.
It's not
There
that.
is so much that goes into it. I had no idea. And I'm really always impressed with the product knowledge that our store associates in particular, but at our food production plant, they're doing lots of food production, prepared foods, cutting meat, things like that.
Right.
The expertise there, or our cake decorators. I'm really impressed with that. And so that's been the most surprising to me.
That's pretty cool.
Who knew?
Who knew? All right, what's the best piece of leadership advice you've ever received?
You have to be yourself. And I know that sounds really silly.
No, it doesn't.
But be yourself and who you are. You will lead at your best when you do that. Don't feel that you, as a leader, need to emulate someone else. Yes, of course, there are things we admire in other people, and we should bring those into our, persona. But be you, and you will be the best leader you can be if you start with that.
That's great advice. All right, what's one Heinen's product that you'd fight to keep on the shelves forever?
Ooh, one. I'm going to give you two.
Okay, hit me.
There's a Jarlsberg cheese dip in our prepared foods that is always in my refrigerator, and everyone I know loves the Jarlsberg cheese dip. Highly recommend. And the other one is the Two Brothers seasoning, the original seasoning.
I love it so much. It's so good.
I pretty much use it, I feel like 5 or 6 nights a week. So,
Literally,
Yes.
it's always out on our counter.
yes,
It's the
same.
best.
I buy 4 and 5 at a time, and if the Jarlsberg went away, I'd be extremely upset. But if the seasoning went away, I don't know what I would do.
Right. Okay. What's a work-related hill that you'll die on, no matter how unpopular it might be?
Oh, there aren't many I'll die on.
Okay.
To be honest, I think that meeting people where they are, doing what's right for your people, I can't have a hill that I'm unwilling to move from, right? However, I'd say one thing is probably I don't believe in sacrificing your people for short-term gain. And by that, I mean their psychological safety, so to speak, their well-being for short-term gain.
Yeah.
That's a general statement, but that would cause me to dig in a little more.
Right. That makes complete sense. All right. What's one tiny thing a leader can do tomorrow that earns instant trust?
I think they need to follow through on whatever it is that they're saying to whomever, right? If I'm in a store and an associate asks me a question that I don't know the answer, let me figure that out. I'll get back to you on that. I need to get back to them.
Yeah.
Right? Even the small things. You can start following through tomorrow.
Right.
And that will increase your credibility very quickly.
That's so simple.
Do what you
but
say you're
so
gonna do.
accurate.
Right.
Yeah. All right. What's one Cleveland spot that you tell every first timer that they need to go experience?
Well, the downtown Cleveland Heinens, of course.
Of course.
But
gorgeous.
outside of Heinens, and really, truly, that is an awesome spot to visit.
Yeah, no, we're not kidding. It's really beautiful.
I love nothing more than when the Broadway stars post, TikToks from there or whatever.
Feel so good.
It's pretty cool.
Yeah.
But aside from that, I love the solstice steps in Lakewood. I just think it's such a cool spot.
Yeah.
And so anything on the lake makes me happy usually, but that is the one spot I think everyone needs to see.
Totally. Oh my gosh, Cindy, thank you so much. This has been such an insightful conversation. Before we wrap up, I want to ask you, what is one mindset shift that you wish more leaders would make when it comes to creating a great work experience for everyone?
The one I would pick is I really think they need to be a part of the business. We always talk about understanding the business and getting to know the business, but you have to be out there talking and understanding to everyone, right? And you have to maybe bag groceries periodically to spend time with people on a front end to understand. And it's okay to do that. Most days I wear the Heinen's uniform.
Really?
Absolutely. Many of us do. And it doesn't matter how many degrees or what my past experience is.
Totally.
I need to understand and be a part of, we all need to be a part of everything. And I think that, goes back to a little bit of the be yourself. It's okay to be yourself. I think those are really the mind shifts that leaders in my role really need to think about.
Yeah.
You can't just sit in a boardroom or sit in your office or talk with people that you see all the time around you and make decisions for everyone else.
That's great advice. Thanks so much, Cindy. It was great to have you here. That's it for today's episode of What's Up at Work. Big thanks to Cindy Torres Essell for joining us. If you like this conversation, be sure to share it with a colleague, drop us a review, or subscribe so you never miss an episode. Until next time, keep learning, keep connecting, and stay curious about what's up at work. We hope you enjoyed this episode of What's Up at Work. Now it's time to get out there and start building better workplaces. If you need help with where to start, ERC has your back. Head to yourerc.com for exclusive HR tools, insights, and resources to help you attract and retain top talent. And keep tuning into What's Up at Work for more strategies and secrets to help leaders like you create thriving workplaces. Thanks for listening, and we'll see you next time.